Shalom, Ka'ala Yahweh, Ba'Shem Yahushai, Ba'Shem Rakwadash. Double honors my teachers, the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Peace and mercy to the elect, for the house of David be born again in this generation. And shalom to the 1/3 of Yasharallah, who today are known as the Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, who before losing our true heritage, we were known as, and still are, the true Hebrew Israelites of the Holy Bible. In today's lesson, we're going to talk about China preparing for war and other relevant World War III news taking place in that same region. But before we get into that, let's go and read this. This is Revelations 11 and 14. The second woe is past, and behold, the third woe cometh quickly. So John the Revelator, in his vision, was shown the first two world wars. He even talked about them and described some of the events that he had witnessed. The apostles of Great Millstone have done many great lessons and videos on the breakdowns of Revelations, and they break down what those visions of the First and Second World War were. So now, what John also seen is he's seen the build up for World War III, which is what we are currently living through here in our current timeline, right? And from this recent article, it tells you here, it says, which war is Beijing preparing for? Well, I can answer that really quickly. They're preparing for World War III against the Western powers. Right now, in the meantime, they're more likely going to go to war with India, right? And this will more likely, be one of the events that will help, kick off World War III. Now, we understand that through prophecy that this is not the event that will draw out Edom into the Third World War, right? In fact, it tells you that it will be something that the so-called Jews, the Israelis, do that will cause America and the Western powers, right? Edom, right? Which is basically America and the NATO forces, which in the Bible is referred to as the whore Babylon and the beast which she rides upon, the beast being NATO. Now, we understand that it's going to be these Israelis that are going to do something that's going to ultimately cause World War III to commence. Now, in the meantime, you're seeing all this posturing and puffing at each other through these Western and Eastern, forces, right? Right now, as you can see here in this article, I'm not going to read the article, but I'm just going to, skim through it. It says, India-China border talks fail as each side pursues troop buildup amid threats. Right? And if you haven't been paying attention, China and India have been basically fighting over their borders, right? You basically have, you can see here, you got India, and you got basically China, over here, and they're basically fighting over this border, right? Over the mountain ranges, man. And there have already been casualties, but for the most part, China is what you would consider the, a member of the BRICS nations, right? The Eastern powers, right? And India is part of the Westernized powers, right? India is a Western ally, right? And they believe America is on their side. But we've been seeing through recent issues or recent betrayals that the U.S. isn't, currently seen as a reliable ally, right? Now, let's go back to this article and just read through it real quick, just so you can see what's going on over there with China, to show you how close we are to World War III. Right? And it says, it's no secret that Beijing is preparing for war. One of the main reasons is China's cratering economy. The recent collapse of the Evergrande real estate development firm is only the latest in a series of dire symptoms that are fueling rising domestic discontent. The $8 trillion debt crisis, and by the way, just to give you an idea, remember, America has spent $2 trillion or close to $3 trillion in the whole Afghanistan debacle. So this whole real estate, issue that's going on over in China right now is worth $8 trillion, man. So that's why right now everybody's saying that the Evergrande, real estate, issue that has gone down over in China is going to affect everybody worldwide because of how big this issue is, right? But let's continue. It says the $8 trillion debt crisis is the shadow economy. More than half of its GDP is also looming large in China's ability to keep its financial system afloat. An aging, less productive population, higher production costs, and fleeing foreign investment all results in falling GDP. China's power has peaked. The reality is that China's economic power is already declining. Sure, the statistics can be adjusted, but it doesn't change reality. What's more, the across-the-board economics decline is driving the Chinese Communist Party, the CCP, to impose even more extreme oppressive measures against its people and businesses, right? And this is what you've been seeing, the recent crackdown that China's been doing against, most popularly the Alibaba CEO, that one Asian-looking guy where he disappeared for a few days after talking shit about the Chinese economy, right? How they've also locked out all Chinese actors that are not part of that have had anything to do with America, and all these type of things. Basically, how they're going to redistribute the rich people in China's money back to the people. See, all that is happening because the economy over in China is in shambles, and the CCP is trying to fix it and do as much as they can to keep their economy afloat. Continuing, the CCP's response only worsens economic performance and civil unrest. Currently, Beijing has been adjusting its internal arrangements for several years. For example, its National Defense Transportation Law went into effect on January 1st, 2017. The law resurrected its legal framework, putting all commercial shipping under direct authority of the CCP. Externally, China's deepening isolation from the world is clearly evident and underscores its ongoing decoupling from the global economy and the international norms of trade and diplomacy. This trend may well make a Taiwan invasion likely sooner than later, if only to divert attention from China's domestic problems. So you see, the size of China, or what biblically they're referred to as MOAB, MOAB's economy is gotten so large that everything they've built, for the most part, is based off of debt, right? Because they've how can I put it? They've basically built up their system based on the Edomite Western power system, right? This is why there's so much debt and I guess you say a hollow economy over in China, right? This is why you've had such a rise in economic power. Well, excuse me. Eventually, all that wealth is going to fall through, which is what it's currently doing now with the Evergrande real estate implosion, right? All that money, has basically gone up in smoke for the most part, man, because again, there was no real asset or creation behind that money. You see, the thing about the Western style economy is that it is based off of debt. Basically, putting yourself into debt makes somebody else more rich, right? And this is ultimately what the Bible refers to when it says, "Woe unto them that lay thick clay, or that lay thick clay upon their house, right? Or and that clay refers to debt, right? So these economies that are now experiencing problems, these westernized Edomite, copycat economies, are now feeling the same problems, man. And like it says here in this article, Moab is ready to go to war to keep their economy up. Now, who are they likely to go to war with? Well, first Taiwan, more likely, since they want to invade them and bring Taiwan into back to the Chinese mainland. But there's a whole problem with that because the U.S. is backing Taiwan, especially since Taiwan is pretty much, if Taiwan falls, that would give China the monopoly over semiconductors and chips, or advanced chips, computer chips, that is, around the world, right? And America can't let that happen. Well, it's gotten to the point where the microchip corporations over in Taiwan, if China was to invade, and there'd be no reasonable, I guess you say, reasonable belief that America is going to help, or that Taiwan's going to beat back the Chinese invasion, that these companies have stated that they will literally burn down their factories so that way China cannot get the advanced technology, man. It's gotten to that point, right? So you see, China is ready for that, man. They want that smoke, right? And they're gonna, like I said, more likely to go after Taiwan first, right? Or it's gonna be India. Well, either way, both of these, Taiwan and India, are Western-backed powers, right? So you see, the Eastern, or as you call them, the Oriental, which basically means East, is puffing up against the Occidental, the West, right? And this right here is just the signs of the time. These are the prophecies written, right? And the Lord is putting the Spirit on not only China, right, and India and Taiwan to fight up against each other, but look who's back in the news. North Korea, right? Another ally of the Chinese or the Moabite nation, man, right? Ultimately, if you don't know, North Korea is a mixture of Ammon and Moab, right? For the most part, the people are Moabites, but the elites and leaders, like this guy here, Kim, he actually comes from Japanese stock, right? Originally, the Japanese conquered Korea and took over, planted their seed and stuff. But what it is that the reason Kim is the leader and his lineage is leaders because they say they descend from the sun goddess, right? Since they are from Japan. Well, that's what Korea is basically a mixture of Moab and Ammon. Now again, remember, in the Bible there is no such thing as a mixed people. So the people in Korea are either Moab or Ammon, right? That being said, like I said, it pretty much is the lower classes is Moab, and the higher classes are Ammon. Right? That's just the way the economy is set up there. Now, it tells you here, it says, Kim vows to build invincible military due to persistent U.S. hostile actions. So you see, the Lord has basically put it on the spirits of all these heathens to start to rise up against America. And this is that prophecy that says, let the weak say we are strong, right? Because right now, all these weak nations now have gotten into their spirit to stand up against America, build up their militaries, work and obtain those nuclear programs, which will give them nuclear weaponry to be able to, fend off America and its once great nuclear military power, right? This is Matthew 24:6. And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. And you see, that's ultimately what's happening, man. We're hearing of wars and rumors of wars, right? You have little skirmishes here and there. You're hearing about that there might be wars. I literally just read you an article, right? We are living in these times, right? Because when you see all these things that are coming to place, these wars and rumors of wars, along with the other signs that the Messiah said to look out for, earthquakes in diverse places, famine, pestilence, right? The whole C-19, pestilence, plus all the variants that are coming out, plus all these weird ass, pestilence that are making people, have these weird ass breakouts. All these famines are going to start to break out. All these things were signs that the Lord has said would come at the end time. So a lot of the people out there who always say, "Oh, this will never happen in our lifetime," or this Bible is a bunch of fairy tales. Well, look, man, here is proof showing you that these events were spoken about in a book written thousands of years ago, right? And it has the events that it said would happen accurately, prophesized about, what would happen, man. And the Messiah spoke about this too, about how people could just not get it. This is Matthew 16:3. And in the morning it will be foul weather today, for the sky is red and lowering. O ye hypocrites, ye can discern the face of the sky, but can ye not discern the signs of the times? And what are those signs of the time, right? I just read them to you, right? I just mentioned some of them to you too, right? We're living through all these signs that the Lord said He would do, from the great signs in the sky to the events happening here on earth, naturally and through the nations, right? We are in the end days of the end days, Akim. So that being said, what does the Lord say about these times and what you could do to save yourself, right? It says, Luke 13:3, I tell you, nay, but except ye repent, ye shall all likewise perish. And this is first and foremost to you Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, and anybody whose father's lineage goes back to that bloodline. Look, we're living in the last days of the last days, right? The things that are coming, from these max jabs to the soon to be upon us martial law, to the concentration camps, to the civil, unrest, to the martial law, to the, the World War III, the, earthquakes, natural pestilences, famine, all these things which were written about in the Bible, which we are now starting to see, start, right? This is what you are headed for, right? And there's only one way that you can avoid all this, because yes, you may be able to get away from the earthquakes, but can you get away from the pestilences, or the martial law, or these jabs, or the famine, or how about the draft, right? You see, you're going to need somebody big on your side to get through the events coming, right? And there's nobody bigger than the Lord, okay? This is why you got to ultimately repent, right? You got to go back to doing that which we once had been doing when we were in our proper way of living, I guess you could say, right? We have to go back to living a righteous life, right? Now, I'm not saying you have to, if you have just barely gone into this, I'm not saying you have to do this ASAP, tomorrow, you got to quit everything. And no, you got to do a gradual, returning back to righteousness, right? Ideally, the sooner the better, because again, we are coming up on that appointed time, right? That only the Father knows. So this is going to catch a lot of people off guard, right? Even a lot of people who are trying to get right. So my message to you is that, time for games are over, Akim. If you're not 100% in this truth, you got to make your choice. You got to repent, or like it tells you here, man, ye shall all likewise perish if you don't. Right? So again, remember to repent. You got to, forsake your wicked ways, all the things that are worldly pursuits. You got to basically, give them up, man. You know, besides, anyways, all this stuff is gonna burn up and it ain't gonna mean a hill of beans, right? So best thing to do, man, is jump on this train and get right. You know, pray to the Lord that He saves you, that He chooses you as part of the elect, you know, and start doing the works, man. Start, you know, learning about your ancient heritage. Find out how to speak Hebrew, right? Find out, you know, what's the difference between Yiddish and Hebrew, right? Find out the true names, the tribes, you know, all that type of stuff, man. All the things that are being taught here at Great Millstone, right? And just wait it out, you know, and stand strong while the Lord protects you and while He's judging all the rest of the world for their unbelief, their wickedness, and so on. So hopefully this video was edifying, Akim. Until next time, I want to give all praises to Yahweh, Ba'Shem Yahushai, Ba'Shem Rukok Dash, double honors my teachers, the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Peace and mercy to the elect. Shalom.